Hello, yoga friend, and welcome to week 4 of Yoga for Grief, Navigating Life After Loss. This week in our yoga practice, we will be balancing the liver and gallbladder meridians. Liver and gallbladder hold anger and resentment. And as they pertain to the way we process anger and resentment through our healing journey through grief, there's a lot of different things that come up. One of the big revelations for me as I have been leading this Yoga for Grief practice, one of the things that was the most obvious that came out for me, there was a phrase that I heard that said, I sat with anger long enough until she told me her real name was grief. And that really landed on my heart because I spent a lot of years being very angry and very resentful towards my father. Years of abandonment and years of having grief as a child that was never really dealt with, right? As a child, we were expected to put our shoes on and go to school, life as usual for a kid. But in hindsight, all of the anger that I held for my dad was basically because it was too painful to feel really sad about him leaving. And so I know that my anger and resentment towards him was my unresolved grief and my inability or the lack of an invitation or nurturing around being able to grieve for his absence when he would go away. So I wonder how that lands on you. I wonder if there is anger and resentment around the grief that you are processing and that you are healing from. And can you recognize that as maybe just to cover up being angry so that you're not dealing with the hard and very sad emotion of sorrow? So just something to think about. We're going to talk about untying the knots of anger in our lesson this week. And with our practice for the liver meridian, we're going to be doing some twisting. So come to a comfortable seat and we'll get this practice started. Ground into your sit bones. Move yourself around a little bit, create a little movement before we create stillness. You might move into your head a little bit, maybe move the shoulders a little bit. And then as you're ready, sit nice and tall. Close your eyes, come inside. Start to notice the way you're breathing here at the beginning of our practice. There's an awareness around the breath. Here I am breathing in. And here I am breathing out. And just notice where the breath goes. So notice as you breathe in, what parts of your body lift and expand with the breath. Notice that same wave of motion on your exhale. Notice the body lift and expand with the inhale. And release and surrender and soften with the exhale. In our practice today, we are practicing what is called a 3-part yoga breath. And so if it feels okay for you, maybe bring your hands to your body, one hand on the belly and one hand at your chest. Now we will focus on filling the lungs from the bottom up and emptying the lungs from the top down. So here's what that might look like or feel like in your body. As you breathe in, can you direct the breath to your belly first, and then the rib cage and then the chest? And as you breathe out, can you release from the chest and then the rib cage and then the belly? Inhale, belly, rib cage, chest. Maybe the breath is so deep the collarbones lift a little bit, and then exhale, chest, rib cage, belly. Draw the belly in, press all of the breath out of your body, and continue this. Notice the rise and fall of the breath in your body as you fill from the belly, rib cage, chest. Empty from the chest, rib cage, belly. And what if you are breathing in this way and it doesn't feel like the breath is coming very low? That's all right. You start to visualize, imagine that the practice is taking place in your body. Sometimes when we are dealing with grief and healing from a loss, the breath is short and shallow, and so it takes some practice to reclaim the space in the lower part of the lungs. So just stay with it. It's called a practice. Eyes are closed. We're sitting tall. With your next exhale, as you notice yourself releasing from the chest, rib cage, and belly, can you start to really soften into the shoulders? I'm noticing for myself that the hand that's on my heart, I'm kind of pressing a little bit hard, and so I would soften that, and as soon as I soften the pressure there, my shoulder releases as well. So just notice yourself, take a moment. Notice the upper body getting a little softer, the weight of the hands on the body is a little softer. And one more round of that 3-part yoga breath. With your next exhale, once that's complete, bring the hands to rest softly back onto your knees. We're sitting tall, lifting through the crown of the head. Shoulders are soft, jaw is soft. Eyes are closed, breath is deep. Just take a couple of deep breaths for yourself and notice now the ease in the breath. So we'll let the eyes softly open. So we'll inhale, lift the arms up and overhead. And we're going to take the left hand to the right wrist, draw the right arm up and over. Notice where your face turns, so there's a tendency to maybe look down, and I'm going to just invite you, look up a little bit, and then notice if your right shoulder is drawing forward. Can you draw the shoulder back a little bit to open the front of your body? Nice deep breath here. Good. And with the inhale, we'll come back to center. Reach both arms up, lift your body, lift the rib cage away from the hips. Good. And we'll take the right hand to the left wrist. Inhale deeply as you lengthen through the left side of the body, and then on the exhale, we'll bring it over. Notice how your face is pointed. Maybe draw the face up. Things are looking up. May not seem like it all the time, but they are. All temporary. We could draw the left shoulder back and down a little bit. Really create and reclaim some space in the left side body. Just deep breath here. Good. On our inhale, we'll reach back to center. Reach and stretch. Interlace your fingers overhead. Roll the palms up. Sway yourself side to side. So nice gentle movement, intentional deep breath. Bringing yourself back to center. The elbows bend and the hands come behind the head. Inhale, open up, lift your heart. Turn sideways here. And draw the elbows back and the shoulder blades together on your back. With the exhale, we're going to cave into the belly first. So bring your belly button in and round yourself forward. So now the elbows are coming down, shoulder blades are coming apart on the back, and we are stretching gently the back of the neck and compressing the chin down into the throat and the chest. We'll flow this way for a few times. Inhaling, press into your sit bones, lift up, squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back. The elbows are wide. Exhale, cave at your belly first. Draw your belly button in. Shoulder blades come apart. Inhale, lift. Moving this way to the rhythm of your breath. An invitation to close your eyes, to maintain an inward focus. Notice the movement in your body. Notice yourself. The way it feels to move and breathe and sink. Yes. Good. And the next time we open up the elbows, lift the heart, shoulder blades are squeezing together on the back. Nice deep breath here, reclaiming some space in the front body, underneath the arms, in front of the heart. Super deep breath. Good, and we'll release. Nice. All right, we'll extend the legs out in front of us. I'm going to turn sideways for this. Flex the feet. We'll sit into staff pose, Dandasana for just a moment, kicking through the heels, drawing the toes up towards the face. And we're kicking through the heels like we're trying to make a little bit more length in the legs, make the legs a little bit longer. The hands rest beside the hips with the fingers pointing forward. Shoulders draw back and down. Press the sit bones away from you. So pressing the sit bones into the floor to help sit a little taller. And we breathe here. Just notice yourself. I'm noticing my legs twitching a little bit and just noticing what that feels like in my body, that sensation, waking things up, improving circulation, not only of the blood and oxygen, but also the energy, the chi or prana, spirit. Nice, good. So release your hands, keep the lift in the spine. We're gonna bend into our right knee and gather it into the body. So you can kind of use your hands to create a little bit of momentum there to lift yourself a little bit taller. We're gonna come into a twisting pose. So the right hand reaches behind and we're light on the fingertips. And I'm gonna start to turn at my belly. So turn at your belly first and the rib cage. Left shoulder's coming over towards the right knee. Now you can keep your left arm just hooked around the leg. If there's room in your practice and it would feel good, you could hook the elbow and take Yana Mudra. For me, I'm just going to create this compression and hug the leg into my body. And then notice as you turn and twist, right shoulder draws back, face and eyes turn right. How are you bearing weight onto the fingers? Can you come really light onto the fingertips rather than really dumping in? So when we come light on the fingertips, we're lifting, we're using a little bit more of our core strength to sit a little taller. And we just take the gaze over the right shoulder, the left leg is still active, toes are drawing up, and we'll breathe here. The liver is at the right side of the body, underneath the right rib cage. And so just breathe with this intention of massaging into the liver meridian to release anger and resentment and to foster a greater capacity for forgiveness. Right? No matter what the anger or resentment is tied to, no matter how that lands for you in this journey of grief and navigating life after loss. A couple more deep breaths. Nice, and we'll unwind ourselves, come back to center, and we'll extend the legs out in front. Come back into staff pose, Dandasana. Sit nice and tall, fingers pointing forward, legs are really long. We're kicking through the heels, drawing the toes up towards the face, lifting through the crown of the head. Full body is active and engaged. Breathing. Turn around so we can do the other side. One more deep breath. Good, and then we'll take our twist to the left. So keep the length in the spine, bend into your left knee, draw it into the body. Use that as a little bit of a leverage to help yourself sit tall. Right leg is still active. We'll start to twist at the belly, twisting in the belly first, and then the rib cage. Left fingertips rest lightly behind you. Right arm can hook around the left leg, or you can hook your elbow, create Yana Mudra. Take what you need here in your practice. So really tall, take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, feel yourself twisting a little bit more. Twisting at the belly first, and then the rib cage, light on the fingertips of the left hand. Deep breath. So these twisting poses help to stimulate a lot of the organs and our digestive system, but they are specific to the liver meridian. We're just kind of squeezing and wringing out any of the blood, oxygen, impurities, whatever is there, and then energetically speaking, releasing energy that can kind of keep us feeling stuck. And we feel like just irritated or fatigued. So bringing just a greater flow into the body. One more deep breath. Okay, and we'll unwind ourselves, come back to neutral. Come into butterfly pose, soles of the feet come together, and the knees fall out side to side. We'll sit here for a moment, lifting tall through the crown of the head, shoulders draw back and down. Hands are light, so notice how your hands have landed. If you have a tendency or a little bit of a habit to really squeeze and create pressure in the hands, let that relax a little bit, because when we create pressure and tension in the hands, it goes all the way up the arms into the shoulders, neck and jaw. So just be really relaxed here with your hands. Lift through the crown of the head, close your eyes, take a few deep intentional breaths. You might actually return to that 3-part yoga breath. See if you can find that in your body, breathing first into the belly and then the rib cage and then the chest. A little pause at the top, empty from the chest, rib cage and belly. So you open your eyes. We are practicing swan pose this morning. And so I'm going to lead swan pose, but there's also an invitation for pigeon pose if that is in your practice. I'll demonstrate both of them, although the hold for this video will be swan pose. Now the way that we come into this, I'm going to take my left leg and flip it so that now my left knee is at my right foot. Left foot is drawn behind me. I'll keep a flex in the foot to protect my knee. And I'm going to turn at my belly, turning my belly button so that my belly button is going out towards my right knee. Inhale to sit really tall, fingertips on either side of the leg. And as we exhale, we'll bring the belly button forward. So there's a feeling like I'm drawing my belly button out towards the right knee. And I'll just start to lean in. What we're looking for is a nice juicy stretch in the right hip. Maybe the right glute, and maybe you feel it in the IT band. Maybe you feel it someplace completely different. That's all right. So just start to lean in. I would say go slow, and then maybe after a couple of breaths, you bring your rib cage down towards the leg. If there's room in your practice, maybe coming onto your elbows, maybe even releasing the forehead to the tops of the hands. Now, depending on where you are in your practice, so we'll hold swan pose and we'll breathe here. Depending on where you are in your practice, if you'd like to practice pigeon pose instead, pigeon pose would be with the knee further out towards the right side of the mat, left leg is extended behind you, and then we fold over the leg. In pigeon pose, the leg is at the center of your body. In swan pose, the heart is in line with the knee. So settle yourself in here. And start to notice where the breath goes in your body. So when you inhale, what parts of your body lift and expand as you rest here in swan pose or pigeon? Can you feel the softness and surrender with the exhale? You might even bring your awareness to the space in your body where you feel the deepest sensation. And notice if you can soften that with every exhale. So we feel that lift and expansion with the inhale, and then we follow that same wave of motion on the exhale to release and soften. Holding each side for 2 minutes in our practice today. You can feel free when you take this practice on your own later this week to hold these poses up to 5 minutes if it allows. I know for some of us who have healing knees, maybe this wouldn't feel that great to do for very long, but take what you need here. 2 more deep breaths. Soften the shoulders. Now to come out of this pose, we'll lift our upper body and our head up. Hands slide back towards the body. Bring yourself up nice and slow. Good. Good. And then we'll turn ourselves back into butterfly pose. You can rock side to side. Excuse me. Rock side to side to find the sit bones and then sit tall at center. Shoulders draw back and down. We're lifting through the crown of the head. Close your eyes, return to a focused breath. 3-part yoga breath, or just a longer, deeper inhale than usual. A slower, more complete exhale than usual. You can let your eyes softly open, and we'll take swan pose or pigeon pose to the left now. So taking your right leg and just flip it around. So now the knee is coming to the left foot. Right foot is behind us, and there's a flex in the ankle and foot to protect our knee. And then we'll turn into our body so that the belly button is pointing out towards the left knee, fingertips on either side of the left leg. Inhale to sit nice and tall, lengthen through the spine, and on the exhale, lead with your belly, like the belly button is being drawn out towards the left knee. You might already start to feel a sensation in the knee, or in the hip or low back. I'm already starting to feel it a little bit in my knee even. So start to lean yourself in, go nice and slow for yourself. Pausing and noticing the sensation, and then maybe bringing it a little bit further in, pausing, noticing the sensation. And if there's room, you could cross your hands, stack your hands, and let your forehead rest onto the hands. If you are practicing pigeon pose on this side, left knee would come out towards the left side of the mat. Right leg would extend behind, and then you could rest yourself over. Just notice yourself. Maybe just being curious about what's available in your body. Here on this side might be very different. And then being really sweet to yourself wherever you land, and notice these sensations that we feel in our body during our yoga practice. They just reveal opportunities for healing. Where am I holding some tension in my body? Where is there an opportunity to release? So soften, notice where you're feeling the deepest stretching sensation, and give yourself a few intentional breaths there. Can you feel a little space being reclaimed in the body with your inhale? Notice the release and surrender with the exhale. A few more deep breaths here. Shoulders are soft, jaw is soft, breath is deep. And one more deep breath in, and a full exhale. Lift your head, lift your shoulders, slide the hands underneath the shoulders, and softly, gently press yourself back up to a seated posture. Let there be a little pause, notice yourself, and then we'll bring ourselves back in towards butterfly. We're going to change up the base a little bit more now this time. So if it's accessible in your body, I'll invite you to bring the right foot in and then the left foot in front so that the ankles are kind of lined up with the center of your body. If this does not feel good for your knees or your ankles, you could come back into Sukhasana, easy pose, which is just a comfortable seated cross-leg pose. So right foot is drawing in, left foot in front. We'll lean ourselves forward, kind of wiggle yourself a little bit to remove the flesh from the sit bones and then sit back down. Keep the lift in the spine, take a deep breath in, and with your exhale, lead with your belly, like you're bringing your belly button forward, and we're gonna ground into all 10 fingers. The hands are as wide as the knees or maybe a little wider. Soft, gentle pressure into all 10 fingers. Draw the shoulders back and down and drop your chin. So now we've got nice length in the back of the neck, and we'll breathe here. So there's a quote by John Wooden. No, it's not John Wooden. It's Rashad Feld. Sorry. Rashad Feld said, "When we forgive someone, the knots are untied and the past is released." There's a visualization that I like to bring into this where if you would think about a rope that has had a knot tied in it for a really long time, and if you were tasked with untying that knot after it's been in that rope for so long, it might seem impossible to loosen it. Right? And in order to loosen that knot and to untie it, sometimes we need to have something that we can kind of pry underneath the knot, maybe a stick or something, to loosen it up. And then once that knot is loosened, then it unravels and releases. We'll bring the hands to the knees. Inhale, lift yourself up. Sit nice and tall. Move around a little bit in your body. Little circles here. Let the head be heavy too. And then bring yourself back to center. We're going to switch the feet now. So let your left foot come in towards the groin and the right foot in front. Wiggle yourself forward to find the sit bones. Sit tall, take a deep breath in. And with the exhale, lead with your belly. Lean in with the belly. So the tailbone is kind of arching out behind us, and we're just arching the belly forward. Fingertips slightly ground onto the floor. Shoulders slide back and down. The chin is dropped. So this thought and this visualization of a knot being tied in a rope, and that you have to get under it a little bit to help loosen it. I like to kind of think of the body and our muscles and the emotion that we hold in the body as a knot within a rope. In our yoga practices, the tool that we use to get under that and to loosen it so that it can be released. Yoga just is a way to reveal where those knots are in our body, if you will, where those opportunities are for us to heal and to reclaim space for ourselves. Here for a few more deep breaths. Just a gentle stretch for the inner thighs. Maybe it doesn't feel gentle in your body. I'm feeling it in my low back, definitely in my knees and my ankles. You might be feeling it somewhere else, that's okay. One more deep breath. We'll bring the hands to the knees and softly press ourselves back up to a seated posture. Circle yourself. Notice the habit and the way that you come into the circle, and just go ahead and switch that up. Take it in the other direction. Let the head be heavy. Breath is steady. Nice. Good. All right, we're going to come to our hands and knees for table pose. If you are healing in your knees and table pose doesn't feel right for your body, you could still remain on the floor, onto your seat, and just take cat-cow motion and a seated posture, and then eventually child's pose like this. So modify the pose as you need to for your body. The knees are under the hips, the wrists are under the shoulders, fingers are spread wide. Pinky fingers are at the edge of the mat to give you a little bit more space in the upper body. We'll move a little bit, just kind of find some space, like your spine is a rope that can move in all different directions. Just notice where your body starts to intuitively move as you come into table pose. And then we'll bring it back towards center for some intentional cat-cow motion. Belly droops towards the floor for cow pose. Tailbone lifts and we're looking forward. Shoulders are drawn away from the ears. Heart lifts forward. A deep breath here. And with the exhale, we tuck the tailbone round the back. Press the hands into the floor like you're pushing the floor away. Belly draws in, chin is squeezing. Inhale, lift the tailbone first. Look forward. Create this motion for yourself, moving to the rhythm of your breath. Leading each movement with the tailbone, if that can happen in your body, just notice yourself. Oh, feels so good to move freely in my body. Thank you, yoga. This is just what I need today. All right. We'll create a wide-kneed child's pose. I'm going to turn a little sideways on my mat so that you can see. Now, usually when I lead wide-kneed child's pose, I invite you to bring the knees as wide as your yoga mat. So you can do that if it feels okay, but I'm going to also invite, if your knees can go a little bit wider still. So I would say take your knees as wide as it feels comfortable for you. The big toes are softly touching in the back. So the big toes touch to help protect our knees. So make sure that your big toes are touching. And the knees are as wide as it feels comfortable for your body. All right, the hips are down towards the heels or towards the arches of the feet. And we're going to surrender our upper body to the floor. The forehead can rest either onto the floor, or if your forehead doesn't come that low, maybe you have a yoga block that you could rest your forehead on to support you. I'm just using a blanket so I'm not on the floor. And so we just breathe here for a few breath cycles. Really great yoga posture to help balance not only the kidney meridian, where fear and anxiety is held, but also the liver meridian, our focus for today, to release anger and resentment as it applies to our yoga for grief journey, and to foster greater capacity for forgiveness. When we forgive someone, the knots are untied and the past is released. And forgiveness does not excuse inappropriate behavior. Forgiveness just allows us to let go and to reclaim space, make space for something, a little bit deeper healing opportunity, and for something new and wonderful to come in and take the place of that. Now here in wide-kneed child's pose, we're going to create a twist. So the way this works is we're going to take our hands forward. So reach your hands forward as much as they can go. Lift your head a little bit, press into your left hand, and we're going to take our right hand and reach way under the left arm. The right palm is facing up, and we're resting ourselves onto the right shoulder and the right side of our head. Notice if the hips lifted a little bit, mine did, so I'm going to scoot them back down a little bit, let the hips be heavy towards the heels. And left fingers are still extended. We're reclaiming space in the left side body, and we're compressing into the right side body. Breathing, using the breath to enhance the stretch. You soften and relax and surrender a little bit more in the shoulders, your jaw. More deep breath in. Softly press into your left hand. Feel the extension on the left side body, and with our inhale, we bring ourselves slowly back to neutral. Reach the right hand forward, release your forehead to the floor. And maybe you can feel a nice stretch underneath the arms here. That's where you feel sensation. We'll take it to the other side, reaching the right fingers forward, nice length in the right side body. Press into the right hand to lift yourself up just a little bit. Take your left hand, reach it way under the right arm. Left palm faces up. We're resting ourselves onto the left shoulder, left side of the head. Notice if the hips lifted a little bit, can you soften them back towards the heels? And we breathe. This is actually a fairly deep yin yoga stretch. We're getting nice compression in the shoulders, across the front of the heart, a twist in the torso, which helps to stimulate the liver meridian, and a stretch in the inner thighs, which also stimulates the liver meridian and the kidney and spleen. So lots of stuff going on here. Nice deep breath. One more deep breath. Notice where it goes in your body. A full exhale. Softly press into your right hand. Unwind yourself. Come back to center. Release the forehead. Nice deep breath. We'll slide the hands back towards the body. Bring yourself up nice and slow. Knees come back together. Come back into table pose. Move yourself around a little bit. So either taking cat-cow motion once more, or moving into the spine like the spine is a rope. And as you feel satisfied, we'll come onto our backs. So move as slowly and transition as slowly and as intentionally as you can. Coming onto our backs, let's hug the knees into our body. Feel free to hold still if that feels best for your practice, or you could move around a little bit to massage your back body. And just notice yourself. Good. All right, we're practicing reclined pigeon pose. So let your feet come to the floor. I'll turn a little sideways so that you can see. All right, so feet are on the floor. I'm going to stack my right ankle on top of the left knee. Keeping a flex in the right ankle to protect my knee joint. There's a few different ways that we can hold this pose. If you are already starting to feel a nice stretch in your right hip, this might be your version of the pose. Maybe you slide your left foot close to your hip and come up onto your left tiptoes, lifting the left foot off of the floor. Gently pressing the right knee forward. If there's room in your practice, right hand might reach between the legs and we can interlace the fingers behind the left thigh. So notice what would feel good in your body. There's also a version, if you do have a block, you could stack a block underneath your left foot and then relax the upper body if that would feel better. So a few different options here in reclined pigeon pose. A lot of times I'll see students holding on in front of the shin. That's an option as well for a little bit deeper stretch, but you just want to be careful, especially if you are healing in your knee. Take the fingers and the hands behind the leg rather than compressing into the knee. Soften into the shoulders. Notice if the chin is jutting up, draw the chin down. So the chin and the forehead are at the same level. Eyes are closed, breath is deep. Now, the target stretch for this pose is the right hip and glute, but maybe you're feeling it somewhere else. Remember, that's okay. You're just letting yoga meet you where you are. So wherever you're feeling the sensation, that's what's right for your body on your yoga mat today. So notice, where do you feel the deepest stretching sensation? And notice if that would change a little bit if you were to move your knees about an inch or two over to the left. Just to ground a little more evenly into the sacrum, and then we hold still and we breathe. This is a posture for stillness. The only motion in the breath is the rise and fall of your breath. The only motion in the body is the rise and fall. One more deep breath here. And on the exhale, we'll release the legs towards the floor. So unwind yourself. Take your feet as wide as your yoga mat and let them fall heavy side to side for a couple of windshield wiper actions. And then as you're ready, let's take our reclined pigeon pose to the left. So feet are grounded. We'll take left ankle on top of the right. Left ankle is flexed to help to protect the knee joint. And then notice yourself here. We're looking for a nice stretch in the left hip, left glute. Maybe you slide your right foot closer to your body and come up on your tiptoes. If that's enough, this is your version of the pose. Maybe there's room to take your left hand between the legs and interlace the fingers behind the right thigh. You could also release the bind of the hands and rest your foot onto a block if you have one. Just noticing how the stretch feels on this side. The side might feel different, so just notice that about yourself. Breathing with intention, noticing where you feel the stretching sensation in your body, and notice if that would change if you were to move your knees about an inch or two over to the right. Just notice that, and then once you find that edginess, hold yourself still, close your eyes. The only movement in the body is the rise and fall of the breath. Shoulders are soft, jaw is soft, breath is deep. And it's just softening into the body, using our yoga practice to help loosen up any knots that we might be holding, help to improve our circulation, blood and oxygen and energy, and helping in this practice today to release into the liver meridian. Find forgiveness. What would that be like? To release any anger and resentment that you're holding, and to really finally once and for all forgive, or at least start to practice that. There's one more deep breath here, and with the exhale we'll release the legs, unwind yourself, feet come as wide as your yoga mat, let the legs fall side to side. You might even pause at one side, turn your face to look in the opposite direction. Take what you need here. Good. And we're coming into our final resting pose. Let's take a reclined butterfly pose at first. So soles of the feet come together and the knees fall out side to side. We'll bring the hands to rest at the hip creases. So the hands are resting right on top of the psoas muscle. And then let's position our shoulders, draw the shoulder blades down and under, tucking the shoulder blades under your heart. Tops of the shoulders away from the ears. Chin and forehead are at the same level, so check yourself if the chin is jutting up. Let your eyes close, and then we'll return to that three-part yoga breath. Notice the breath coming into your belly first, and then the chest, and then the rib cage, and then the chest. Holding softly at the top, and then emptying from the chest, the rib cage, and the belly. Here for a few more breath cycles. Taking this moment to notice yourself as we come towards the end of our practice today. Notice how our yoga practice helps us to loosen up where we might be holding some tension. It helps to reveal opportunities for healing. And because the body holds emotion, some of these spaces where we are holding could be holding an emotion that no longer serves us, such as anger and resentment. There's all kinds of different ways to approach releasing anger and finding forgiveness. That'll be part of our yoga practice this week and our homework and journaling assignments. Lean in there. Good. We'll slowly lift the knees back to the top. Gather yourself in for a hug. Give yourself a squeeze. And then take what you need here. You might rock the body side to side to massage into your back body. You might hold still and pick the head up off of the floor and squeeze the forehead in towards the knees. You might move around a little bit, move the legs, even a quick happy baby pose. Just taking what you need that might feel good to loosen up just a little bit. And then as you're ready, we're going to rest ourselves flat for Shavasana. Now make yourself comfortable here. If you'd like to have a blanket rolled underneath your knees to soften the bend in the knees, that might be a nice way to hold yourself in Shavasana. So we'll kick through the heels to make the legs a little bit longer. Flex your feet. So really feel the length and the strength in the legs. Take a deep breath in. And with the exhale, relax the legs. A couple of deep breaths here, relaxing the legs a little bit more with every exhale. The toes fall out heavy side to side. We'll draw the shoulders down and under to lift the heart. Arms rest away from the body with the palms of the hands facing up. Or as always, if it's more soothing for you to rest your hands onto your body, you could do that for yourself. Draw the chin down slightly, chin and forehead at the same level. The eyes are closed. And we'll receive one more intentional breath for ourselves. Super deep inhale, hold it slightly at the top. And with the exhale, surrender to your yoga practice. In our Shavasana practice, the practice is to hold still, to allow the only movement in the body to be the rise and fall of the breath. And we're not even controlling the breath, we're just letting the body be breathed in its own natural capacity. Savoring this moment for stillness, to allow our yoga practice to integrate. I think anger and resentment, as I have experienced it, felt like a really big weight. Something that I was carrying and holding on to that no longer served me. I will tell you from my own personal experience, it's a big challenge to forgive someone who never said they were sorry. It's an even bigger challenge to forgive myself for mistakes that I have made. And so I wonder how that lands on you. Where do you hold anger or resentment, something that felt unfair? Can you start to notice that when you soften around that, there's a little more tenderness there? Maybe if you allow that tenderness, your anger and resentment would soften into sadness, maybe some tears, and then release. Release and compassion through forgiveness. You are worthy of that. Notice yourself resting in Shavasana. You might choose to rest there for a few more minutes, 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. Notice what you need in this practice. And for the purpose of closing out this video, I would invite you to notice the breath in your body. And with your next inhale, begin to deepen the breath. Begin to create gentle motion in the fingers and toes. Softly, slowly preparing the body for movement. Reaching the arms overhead, stretch your fingers up and over. Kicking through the heels, make your body nice and long. Take a deep breath. The arms come back down, the knees bend. Gather the knees into your body. Give yourself one more squeeze. And then I'll invite you to roll to one side of your body. Use the arm that's on the bottom to prop your head. Let the knees bend and draw in towards your body. The eyes are closed. Breath is deep. Thoughts are sweet and forgiving. Just taking a moment to notice yourself. Thank you, yoga, for this opportunity to notice where there are healing opportunities, not only in my physical body, but in my energetic body. Lay down the weight of anger and resentment and welcome a much lighter sensation of forgiveness. One more super deep breath in and a full exhale. When your exhale is complete, we'll lift to a seated posture. Find the sit bones, ground yourself. And so notice yourself sitting tall, lifting through the crown of the head. Eyes are closed, shoulders are soft, breath is deep. Thoughts are compassionate and forgiving. We'll bring the hands together in front of the heart, lifting the heart and bowing the head. Just pausing for a moment to feel deep gratitude for this opportunity to practice together in this way. May the world be kind to you. May your own thoughts be kind unto yourself. Namaste. Thank you for the honor of leading your yoga practice today. Be well.